quickly, again, we were just starting to go over some of the rules that we have here, the simple ground rules. You all have your cameras and mics where that's going to be able to be on, but while you're not speaking or asking a question, if you can keep your microphones muted. So, and hopefully I don't fall victim of that where we've got the dogs barking or something in the background. But I wanted to welcome you all here to GovCon Career Connect Week. The first thing I wanted to do is quickly apologize to anybody who was trying to get into last night's session that was unable to do so because we did have a technical glitch error as far as that registration link getting to the link for the event to you. So we apologize for that. We did try and get an email out to you as quickly as we realized what had happened this morning, so you're able to attend this session. And again, once again, I apologize. That's on me for not making sure everything was working properly, but I'm glad that you're all here tonight and we have a much better turnout. So thank you for being here tonight. I should probably start by saying my name. My name is Jim Lindsay. You've probably received an email or two from me over the years if you've been here for a little while. I am the Military Employee Relations Partner, and my focus is to really get you all connected with great employers like BAE Systems and Accenture Federal Services. So that's what we're going to be doing here today. So welcome for that. Accessibility here is important to us at Southern New Hampshire University, right? So anybody here that is looking to have and enable their live captioning, you can quick follow these steps, and it's only going to happen to your screen if you do it this way. So you can click on the More Actions icon, select Language and Speech, and then turn on live captions. So you can do that. In any individuals with accessibility needs requiring accommodations may reach out to the following. Online students, you can reach out to oac@snhu.edu, or you can call 866-305-9430. Any campus students, you can feel free to reach out to cac@snhu.edu or 603-644-3118 to call them. And any Southern New Hampshire University staff and faculty, you can reach out to hr@snhu.edu. And if you do request, if you need live captioning, you need to give us, or live ASL interpreting, we require at least 3 weeks advance notice. So, and then also, please feel free to connect with us here at SNHU's career team. You can email COSI Career, which you can see on the screen, at snhu.edu, or call 888-672-1458. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, X, LinkedIn, and the YouTube SNHU Career channel. And please be sure to check out, and I still call it new because it's a little bit new, it's about a little less than a year, our new SNHU Career 360. So that's where you can also check out some new and exciting things going on here at the university that way. So that being said, I wanted to thank you all again for being here tonight. Thank you for your service. And I am going to stop chatting now, and I'm going to throw it on over to Chris. So Chris, go ahead.
Star 6. Hi, everyone. Good evening. I know I've only got about 30 some odd minutes. I want to say hi. I can't wait to talk about BAE Systems, give you a few pointers. I know last night there were some technical issues. We did a session regarding resumes and interviews. I'm going to share those slides pretty quickly. I'm not going to go through them like I did yesterday. And I also want to share with you our veterans landing page on our career site, kind of give you some resources, talk a little bit about the types of positions that we hire for, and hopefully give you some good pointers in your career search. So I'll go ahead and share my screen. Jim, give me a thumbs up when you have that, and that looks good. Okay, great. So I'm going to move through this pretty quick. Who's BAE Systems? This is us. We are a defense and aerospace company, a prime weapons developer. We have roughly 41,000 employees spread across 8 markets, and you can see there in the second paragraph. Our annual sales are right around $13.5 billion. We're in 37 states, about 50, 60 countries, give or take. And we really just do every type of engineering and design work on any type of system that's on, really name the platform, aircraft, ships, combat vehicles, various weapon systems. And we hire out of the 40,000 MOCs across the Department of Defense and DoD military. we hire roughly 70% of those. So there's a lot of good, and I'll get into like skills translation and show you our website where you can do that. So let me go ahead and press ahead. I want to talk about some of the top areas we look for veterans in. As you'll see there, heavy and intel, combat vehicle, logistics and supply, but we also are looking at really any other function, finance, contracting, you name it. And we do a lot of radar and IT type of work, cybersecurity. So if you have a clearance, I recommend you check out our website, utilize the skills translator. Let me move into some quick tips for resumes from a defense and aerospace industry. I will share with you a little bit about me quickly, just so there's a little bit of credibility there. I've been with BAE Systems almost 27 years. I'm former Navy, HR, and I've been in talent acquisition and now lead up the veteran outreach and recruitment and programs for the enterprise. Tons of experience in regard to looking at resumes, being part of interviews, interview panels. So I'm going to give you some quick tips on what we as a defense company really look for and will help as you put your resume together and maybe apply for some of our roles or companies in our industry. Probably first and foremost, keep your security clearance and education near the top if you can. It's real quick. That's where the recruiter's eyes go first. Being a DoD contractor and any DoD contractor, one of the things that we have to do is really quantify your experience, and we match that with years of experience coupled with education. Right then and there, we know where we could classify you as far as level in our company. And believe me, we want to pay you the most we can. Another thing to avoid is just general, overly general, vague statements on your resume. Make sure every word has meaning. One page is best. If you have to go two, that's fine, but try to compress it to one. Makes it easier. I also recommend including a keyword group. And what that is essentially is if you look at the job description and you're writing your resume towards a job description, many times they'll ask if you have experience and many different things. And they may just list them out. And if you have that experience, include that in like a technical summary below your name and address, but above your education and clearance. Real quick, just so you can throw those words in a quick paragraph. The reason you do that is companies such as ours have systems that scan over the document, i.e. your resume, and they're pulling out keywords. So it's also a better way for you to get to the next step. Avoid boxes and tables and things like that. That can skew the image when it comes out on the final end resume and goes to the recruiter or hiring manager. A lot of times whatever's in your table will just be distorted. So try to avoid that. I also recommend some fonts to use. Some are easier on the eye, a little more curly. Try to stick with a font size between 10 and 12. These slides are also available. If you'll send me an email, I'll email them right back to you. So public release, I'm happy to provide it if you don't catch everything we're discussing here. And again, treat your resume like a block of real estate in Manhattan. Everything you put on it has to have meaning. Try to leave off things that aren't relative to the job or the industry, such as hobbies and interests, unless they pertain to the job or the industry. Quick interview tips: research the company. Know what you're interviewing for. Research the position if you can. Research the company. Talk to the recruiter you're working with in regard to dress code. What do I wear to the interview? Try to get to the interview early, even if it's a dial-in. During the interview, your goal is to just showcase your strengths. Talk about your accomplishments, what's on your resume, and give samples of the work you've done, coupled with what's on your resume. If asked, what would you do if you came to this company? Think in your mind a 30, 60, and 90-day plan, where you want to be. Maybe the first 30 days is learning about the company, the industry. Second day, learning about the function you're supporting, and maybe the 90-day is getting into a project. These are just ways, as you think about that, you can also prepare yourself for questions that you might get. Where do you see yourself in a month, 2 months, 3 months? Ask unique questions as you've done your research on the company and the position. Ask questions about the company. Where would I be? What would I be doing? In many cases, you'll be interviewing in a place where you won't actually be sitting. So make sure you get a good description. Hopefully they'll take you to the area. If you're working remote, ask questions about that, what the setup is, expectations, etc. And I always say follow up with a thank you note. At minimum, a quick email. Appreciate the interview. If you can, do a handwritten note. You can get those addresses from the recruiter. And those were all dues, by the way. Sorry. Here's the thing you don't want to do. Don't go in not knowing about the position. Practice your elevator speech, your 30 seconds to talk about you, because many times the first question you're going to hear is, hey, John, hey, Jane, tell us a bit about yourself. So there's your elevator pitch. Try not to discuss non-job related topics during the interview. And maybe at the interview, things settle down. There's a calmness. Interview's over. Now we can talk about, our hobbies, our interests, our life. Don't chew gum. I know that's simple, but many times when we're doing like a virtual, we don't think about it. We're chewing gum all day. Boom, we pop on the camera, or we're chewing it in the car and we walk in. Just think about it. Don't wear strong perfume if you're doing in person, or cologne or lotions. Sometimes people have allergies. Don't speak negatively about your current employer or your past employer, especially your military service. We all have those stories, right? Try to keep those suppressed. Don't talk about the good things, the teamwork, collaboration, etc. Bring several copies of your resume. Even though the recruiter's probably distributed to those people, have that. It shows a level of preparedness. One, you can look at a copy as they move through your resume, but two, you can offer it to the other interviewers if it's a panel. Also, awards. You have military awards. If you have room on your resume, of course, add them. Maybe just the title of the email, or the award. Keep a copy of those citations in your bag or in your binder. So as the discussion unfolds, hey, Sebastian, tell me why you got this Navy achievement medal. Blah, 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 blah. You can pull out the citation, speak to it. It gives them a whole different perspective of you talking about something you accomplished and something more than likely you didn't put on your resume or go into detail about that award. So something to think about. Let's see, what else? Make eye contact. If somebody asks you a question, make sure that when you answer it, you're looking at them. If it's a panel interview, certainly you want to spread your attention, but remember who asked you the question and focus your response on that. I've been in thousands of interviews, and I've seen that happen and not happen, and I've read body language of the interviewer, and I don't want to say they're insulted by it, but they're trying to get the attention back to them. Okay, that was my quick spiel in 15 minutes on interviews and resumes. I'm going to pause there. If you want to ask a question, I don't know, James, how you're doing it, if you want to raise your hand or just unmute and fire away. And I'm easy. I can go back to the slides if we have quick questions.
Yeah, so if you do have questions, thanks, Chris. If you do have questions, just put your hand up and we'll get you unmuted. Or you're not muted, but we'll call you up to go right ahead. So any questions, feel free. Naya, I see that you've got your hand raised. Go right ahead. I hope I pronounced your name properly.
Hi, I have cerebral palsy, and I was just wondering, like after school, I'm a freshman here at Southern New Hampshire, and I was wondering if I applied for you all's field of work, what would I be able to do? I have spastic cerebral palsy.
Sure. Nice meeting you. There's a ton of different jobs that we have there locally. We have about, I think, 9 sites in Nashua and surrounding areas. I think at any given time, there's anywhere from 500 to 1,000 jobs for that sector, which is electronic systems. And so I would encourage you to look at our website, and I'll be sharing that with you here shortly. We also have a lot of remote jobs. And so if you have network connectivity at home, I encourage you to apply to positions. We're looking for talent, not only there locally in Nashua, but nationally. And it's not uncommon for people to do jobs remotely supporting, an organization that's 10 states away. My email is in the chat. I encourage you to send me an email, maybe a copy of your resume, and I'd be happy to help you kind of navigate the website and get your name in our talent community.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. Thank you.
Question. Anybody else?
Wow, easy crowd tonight.
Yeah, I was going to say easy day on that one. Nicole, go right ahead.
50 people.
So my question is, how about for those of us who do not have a traditional career path? I'm spouse of, not direct military, so I don't have that background. However, my degree that I'm getting in is advanced counterterrorism and homeland security. I do have government backing. So like if it's a non-traditional type thing, what are your suggestions for that? Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for the question. I don't like to coin the phrase non-traditional. Everybody has experience that certainly pertains. But when we go to launch into a new career, a new industry, a new level of skill set that you may not have, but you're pursuing, one of the things to keep in mind is you want to get that experience, either working at a company, kind of just in the door, foot in the door, or two, credentialing, certifications, things like that. In your case, we love that background. Trust me. One of the requirements to do a job like that, about 90% of the time, is going to require a high-level security clearance. And so if you don't have one of those, you want to get into a company either through an internship or co-op where, and usually if you have an undergrad and you're pursuing that and you have a clean background, many times there's entry-level jobs that require at minimum a secret clearance. And then as you get in, you get that clearance, you can progress and move up, especially with your background in education. I think, the best advice I can give you is share that passion and that desire to get into the industry. Show that you're getting those certificates, and that's an easy Google search away. What type of certificates would benefit you, project management, but even things specific to, counterintelligence, counterinsurgency, et cetera. And then reach out to companies like ours. We have internships many times that can get your foot in the door, at least for, a summer. So feel free, again, to reach out to me via email, and we can dig a little deeper into that. Thank you for the question.
Perfect. Thanks.
So, yeah, thank you for the question. I'm going to ask one here. We did have one in the chat, and we have two more hands raised, but we did have somebody say that they're not sure. Where'd the question go? There it is. How does somebody find out if their clearance is still active?
Sure. Great question. So, and I don't know the circumstance. If you're willing to speak about it, great. So whoever held your clearance last, if it's either the military or an employer, you want to call that employer and ask for the security department. Tell them who you are, identify by your service number, your social security number, employee number, et cetera. And or they may ask you to come there to obviously to show ID. You can ask that facility security officer to look and verify the clearance, and it's as easy as that. If they held your clearance, they have to give you that information if you show ID. And in fact, they can give you a standard form that shows your level of clearance. And in many cases, they'll even give you a copy of your, I believe it's SF-72, your security application, security clearance application. And if that doesn't work, if you're a veteran, reach out to security on base. And as a veteran, you have, even if you don't have base access, you can get it, go to the pass office, come in and meet with JAG or security. They'll give you that information.
All right, I see that we do have a lot of hands
question.
up, right? I see that we have a lot of hands. So Chris, I do want to be able to you to get to your second half. So
Sure.
I'm going to go two more, and then what we'll do is, folks, keep your hands up, and we'll get back to you at the end. So is it Diamond?
I believe you're speaking for me, Damon.
Damon, I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. Hello, everyone. I am a veteran as of recently, and I'm currently in the sales industry now. And I see that you guys do have a sales department. Can you just elaborate a little bit on, I guess, what that entails?
Sure. So what you see like on our website or when it talks about sales, really what that is business development in many cases. There are some times where we have product engineers, product managers, and project and product analysts who go to trade shows and things like that to really sell our product to potential buyers. But in most cases, when you see something that refers to sales on our website or really any government contractor, more times than not, that's going to refer to business development, which is where we're bringing our capabilities, packaging those in solicitations, and providing proposals and things like that. So yeah, more than happy. Shoot me an email and I can plug you into the right people to get more information on that as well. It looks like Dana McGrath just dropped in a link to check your security clearance status there. That might be something for you guys to take note of. Thank you for that, Dana.
Thanks, Dana. And one more, Adam, go right ahead.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Chris, for coming on and talking to us. So kind of a two-part question. I currently have a active secret clearance, and so I'm just curious in the application process, how much weight is that held to BAE? I currently work for, I guess, what would be a competitor. And two, when applying for what someone call like a mid-level, experience job. How much is the education requirement weighted on that as well?
Sure. So I'll answer the first part in regard to the clearance. So we are upfront and very, we disclose, full disclosure, what the position requires. So many times when you look at the job requisition, it'll either say, and it'll say clearance level, it'll either say active required or the ability to obtain a level of clearance. If you have an active clearance, then any position that says requires a secret clearance, you would be qualified for in respect to the clearance. Now, part two of that, education, same thing. The position will say if there's an educational requirement. Many times there will be a years of experience or education. So it might say something like requires a bachelor's degree and 0 years of experience. Or it might say requires a bachelor's degree, 4 years of experience, or high school and 8, something like that. It's real clear on there. Our job descriptions, and really any employer under DoD or as a federal contractor, it's required that we tell you what is the minimum requirement. So you'll never see a job that says, high school and 10 years of experience, and then you have a master's degree and they tell you you don't have the educational prereq. That's not going to be the case. So clearance level and education is up front and center. And when you look at our job descriptions, and I'll pull one up in the next few minutes, just so you can kind of see, at least on our website, there's an actual category that says clearance level. And it may say none, ability to obtain or none. So, yeah.
All right, thanks, Chris. So folks, if you do have your hands up, we'll try and get to your questions after Chris goes through the next part here of his presentation. So Rob and Elise, we apologize for that, but we'll get to you towards the end and then we'll go from there. So Chris, go right ahead.
Okay, sounds good. Let me get my screen shared here real quick. Okay, so on the heels of Adam's question, I went ahead and pulled up a position that we have on our website, and I'll back up and show you what our website looks like. Can you see my screen, Jim? Thumbs up?
It's loading. It's up. Just load it up. Yep.
Okay, good. So this is a position that we routinely hire for. It's a full motion video analyst. In most cases, these are going to be Army 35 Golfs, geospatial intel analysts. But what I wanted to show Adam is if you notice down here in this table, under clearance level, right there it says must currently possess a top secret SCI. And so other positions might say clearance level must be eligible to obtain or must currently possess whatever level, secret, top secret, polygraph, etc. So you're always going to see that up front and center on our jobs. And then it also talks about travel percentage, relocation if it's available for the position. Now you see above the clearance level, it says, must currently possess, but then if you look above it, they'll take you in as a TSSCI, but you're going to have to ultimately get an SCI polygraph. So, pay attention to those two blocks. And most of the times they're the same, but there are cases where we do upgrade as you come in on program. And I'll just kind of run through. Most job descriptions are going to have just kind of an intro, what the position is, what the role does. That part I talked to you about, education, years of experience, that's going to be right here under required education. And so as I pointed out earlier, this says 3 years of intel experience or a bachelor's degree in a related field. So like the question was asked earlier, the woman that asked the question, she's pursuing counterinsurgency or intelligence. She gets that undergrad, she would typically, if she had this degree and had been through a formal military school, as you'll see in bullet number 2, she could theoretically be qualified for it. So read through these descriptions. It's very important. This block here that says required education, experience, and skills, this is what we have to basically answer to the government on. If we bring you in for an interview, if we hire you, then you are 100 and 1,000% guaranteed to have met these requirements. Otherwise, we're in violation. Now down here, under preferred education, assume we have 10 candidates and they are all exactly equal. They all graduated from Southern New Hampshire University with the same degree. They all have 5 years of experience, whatever. When you get down to the preferred section, these are things that could set you apart. And so as we, as an employment authority, look to bring you into interview, sometimes we only want to interview 5 people. So we have to look for the 5 most qualified. So that's something to pay attention to. Many of our jobs will have pay information listed on there, and then just description about the company. But I want to go back and share with you our veterans landing site. I think it's real important. There's a lot of information here. And so I encourage you, when you come to our main site, our career site, which you see here, you're going to go to Life at BAE Systems and click on Military and Veterans. On this site, and I'll run through this, and Jim, just let me know on time. Do I have about 10, 12 more minutes?
You're good, yeah. Go right ahead. Yep.
Okay, great. So one of the first things we're proud of, and you'll see a lot of companies do this, so we're not trailblazers here, but we have a skills translator. And so like the position I just showed you, I'll type in 35 Foxtrot, which is basically an intel analyst in the Army. So I'll click on that, and that brings back, that looks at our website, all of our open jobs, and through some complicated algorithm, I have no idea or claim to understand, it will produce to you positions that you more than likely have a good chance of qualifying for. This was that position I clicked on. So I encourage you to check out our skills translator, type in your MOS, your AFSC, or your rating if you're Navy, fill that in, and that'll give you some ideas on what positions we have. I'll roll through the site. For those of you that aren't quite ready, maybe you're pursuing your master's, you're not ready to jump into employment. This section here that says not quite ready to apply, this basically will allow you to input some of your information. And really, I recommend if you're on this call to go do this. It's not going to hurt. It's going to get your resume and your information into our system. And it's a little different than applying to a job. This pretty much just is like you handing us your resume saying, hey, if something comes up, look at my availability date, give me a call when I'm ready. So it gets you into our talent community, and recommend you do that really with any company. This isn't an infomercial for BAE Systems, but we're an outstanding company. I would like you to visit our site, learn more about us. We have a section about featured roles. These are really positions that are high demand for us, low supply. We hire a lot of them, and those are going to revolve around full motion video, marine electricians, electronic technicians. So if you have a background in electronic theory, you were maybe in radar or something like that when you were active duty, or you're just interested in that field, I encourage you to take a look. We have jobs all over the U.S. These are some of the things that we do inside of BAE Systems to support our veterans. We have the Veteran Support Network, which is an infinity group. There's about 2,000 of our 6,000 veterans in the company who are members of this. It's really just communication, sharing, support for each other, opportunities. We also participate in the Skill Bridge program, and we also have the Warrior Integration program. It's coming kind of to its sunset, but this is where we do a 3-year rotation for combat wounded individuals who are mostly in like small arms, combat arms. And we've had that program in existence since 2008, so we're pretty proud of that. Here's some numbers. We hire on average 5 veterans a day, about 1,200 a year. 19, almost 20% of our workforce are veterans and are in a leadership role. Total workforce of almost 41,000, 18% of those, or roughly 6,700, are veterans. And then 12 years in a row, actually it's 13 now, we've been named a military-friendly and military-ready employer. So we're proud of that. But here you can get more information. Also, this section that shows the closet with the uniforms in it, if you click on this, I wrote this blog piece, and it takes you, it's on a 2-year schedule. So if you're active duty, even if you're out now or you're a reservist, take a look at this. This is 25 plus years of experience put into a 2-year schedule of what you should be thinking about, how you should be tracking potential employers, everything from interview, timeline, working with your security department to get that clearance and that paperwork, working with personnel to get a shadow copy of your service record, which you're all entitled to. So I encourage you to take a look at that. Some really good information. And you can also meet our team. So this is our team here. They represent, and they're all veterans with the exception, I believe, of one. But they are all the sector leads. And so if there is, and their email address links are there as well as their LinkedIn. And so feel free to reach out. Scott McNary there, he's got a Skillbridge email. You can reach out to him. You can reach out to me and I can get you plugged into the right area. I'm happy to take a look at your resume, provide some insight, but really the best I can do is forward your resume into the center where you would have the highest probability of getting an interview. And or you apply to a position, send me an email, say, Chris, here's my resume. I applied to this position. Make note of the requisition number, send it to me. Even though you're in our system, I'll fast track and send it right to the recruiter and say, hey, this guy or this gal just applied. I met them at a Southern New Hampshire University event, and it really just gets you first look. And so consider it fast tracking. So you can meet our team. Here's a few of our awards, but our website is very intuitive. There's a lot of information out there. And hopefully that helps. The only other thing I wanted to cover quickly is about BAE Systems. I mentioned that we're almost 41,000. We're broken into 4 sectors. And so the one based in Nashua is actually electronic systems. I won't click on these, but I encourage you to go to our site, basystems.com, click on BAE Systems Inc., the U.S. subsidiary, what we do or about us, and you can get to this site. But we also work in the intel space. So we have some 4,000 intelligence analysts that work for our company for various organizations in the government. We also have a sector called platforms and services. This is where we do ship retrofit and modernization. This is where we build combat vehicles, naval guns. And so we also have our newly acquired sector, which is formerly Ball Aerospace. They're based out of Colorado, and that's space and missile systems. Our mission systems, they do some amazing work. And then really just about us, we've been around since 1999 as BAE Systems. Our parent company is BAE Systems in the UK. Outstanding company. We do outstanding sales, and we have roughly $60 billion in our order book. I can't say enough good things about it. I've been here a long time, really my whole career post-service, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. So, Jim, I think I'm getting close to time. I want to open it back up to questions until you say we're done.
Oh, sounds good. And then, so we're going to go to you a minute, and I think it's Zena. I hope I pronounced that properly. But those of you that do want to get some one-on-one time with Chris, he did set aside time tomorrow and on Friday. So go into Handshake, and you can book a 10-minute session from Chris. The times do range from 9 a.m. Eastern to about 3. Some are already booked up, and some he may not be available. But last I looked, there was probably still 20 or so sessions still available. He was grateful enough to put about 50 10-minute sessions together for the 2 days. So take advantage of that. So, Azina, go right ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I got a question, please. So I just started off. I just started here at SNAGU, and my program here is political science. So my question is, what kind of jobs you offer for a major like that?
I'm sorry, what was your major again? One more time, sorry.
Political science.
Political science. I've seen us hire individuals with that degree in a lot of different functions. I mean, I've seen it in communications. I've seen it at the community investment team. I've seen it in business development. It just really depends. What I would recommend doing is when you go to our website under the keyword search and at that skills translator, you don't just have to put in an MOS or MOC or rating. You can actually put in a keyword such as political science. That will look at our open jobs, bring back every position that either has that in the title, in the job description, or experience in that field. If there's any questions you have specifically about a job, just reach out to me. Send me an email, make note of the alphanumeric rec number, and I'd be happy to give you more information on it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Rob Martinez, go right ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, great, awesome. So I'm coming up on retirement from the Army, doing 20 years. I do have clearance, amongst other things. Your presentation was very informative. very insightful. I look forward to reaching out to you guys soon. I saw the point of contacts on the website, so I guess we could just start there, and I guess I'll just name drop you if that's okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, please do. And feel free to send me an email. Yeah, happy to continue the conversation. Thanks for the kudos. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. I don't know if you can is it possible to place your email inside the chat or?
Yeah, I saw somebody else put in chat. Could I drop in the skills translator? Be looking at the chat. I'm going to run through real quick and drop in, and I'll say it verbally, but I'll put in the different URLs, and then I'll share the slide that shows my email address as well. So the first one that's going in the chat is the page that you saw that has the skills translator. Recommend you bookmark that. That's where you can show interest, join our talent community, meet our team. That's the one I showed you. The second one that I'm going to put in is the one that really just gives a description of our company and the sectors, the locations, where we're at, who our customers are, etc. And then I will share with you now. Well, actually, I'll just put in my email address into the chat. I'll just type it in manually right now.
All right. So Chris, while Chris is doing that, Damon, feel free to go ahead and fire away your question.
Oh no, it's Diamond. It was the little mix-up earlier, but it's Diamond.
I'm sorry.
It's fine. Just a really quick question. So sometimes I do get conflicted. I've been in the military about 11 years now. My background is Red Horse, so we do a lot of engineering, construction, logistics. So I don't know if I have one particular channel that I can look in, and I think that's what's a little bit, I guess, frustrating on my end, because a lot of the jobs are more specific to one role. Now, being as though that I'm about 3 months from obtaining my degree in business administration, when I do apply for certain jobs, can I put that I've obtained my degree? Because I know sometimes it could take about a month or so to even get a response from someone. And I know like that's a really big stickler for some positions. So what would you recommend that I would do in that position?
Sure. You mean a response from the employer you've applied to?
Yeah, like just overall.
Yeah, look, there's no real nice way to say it. A lot of times it's volume. A position will be posted and 500 people apply in 3 days. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it is systems generated. They're looking at, that's why, it's so important to make sure when you're writing your resume that you're speaking directly to that job posting. Yeah. Because not only are the recruiters looking at it, but it has to go through various kick-out mechanisms where if you don't have the years of experience or the education, it doesn't even move to the next level. So just have those expectations that the job you're applying to, that when you look at the job description, you're qualified, at least with the education, years of experience. If there's a position that you feel like you're qualified for or that you'd like to learn more, just reach out to one of our team members on the website there. Send us an email. We'll find out for you. I'll send it to a recruiter who's reviewing the resumes and say, hey, why doesn't this person apply or qualify? Since I've done this for a long time, I might be able to just pull the rec number or rec up, look at your resume, and probably tell you why. It can be frustrated. I mean, we live in a world now of automated responses. I think that's why it's important for Southern New Hampshire University to do things like this, because it humanizes the companies, the process, and it's to give you guys confidence to know there are people on the other side of the emails that you send or the countless jobs that you apply to. It can get frustrating, but take every opportunity. If you meet people through your LinkedIn network, or even in cases like this, that you remain in touch with the folks who are out there to help you gain employment, and ask those questions. You'll get a lot of advice, and many times you'll get through your networking, you'll get into the right hands who will really take a look at your resume versus some system kicking you out that's never met you. So hopefully that helps.
Yeah, it does. Because I think for me, it's more so just trying to figure out, would I target more early career roles with my degree, or would my years of experience put me in a more experienced type of
What was
category?
You said you were Army, right?
Air Force.
Air Force. What was your AFSC?
3F5, administration.
3F as in Foxtrot,
Yes.
3F5. Should be one more digit. Is it a 1?
Yeah. So normally it's like 3F591, like
X.
something like that, but it's like admin, yeah.
Okay. So I just dropped into our skills translator and typed in it's classified administration. It shows here Space Force, but I assume it's Air Force as well. But it brings up, I'm looking at roles right now that it brought up. And so this is like if this algorithm thinks that you might be qualified, I highly recommend. I typed in your specialty code. These are the positions, right off the top, I'm looking at accountant, finance. There's a lot of warehouse, inventory management. You mentioned construction engineering. There's a lot of things where there's overlap. And so logistics, supply, things like that, cost analysis, those might be right in your wheelhouse. I think I heard you say you were getting your BSBA. So look at those business type of roles that have that technical piece that you may have touched, such as warehousing, logistics, supply, inventory, and just admin in general. There's a lot of times you'll read through these jobs and you'll read one and you're like, wow, I could do that. That's what I did in the Air Force. So you can't waste your time on the website looking at the roles. So reach out to me and and I can take a look at your resume and maybe provide some recommendations.
All right, so I think we have
Thank
time.
you.
I'm sorry to interrupt you there. I think we have time for one more because Quincy's going to get going here in just a minute. So Sebastian, go ahead and fire away with your question.
I can pass for the next person. A lot of what I wanted to ask got answered by you answering the past two.
Okay, thank you. Matthew Anderson. Oh, no, Anderson.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I've worked in a lot of roles that required pretty extensive non-disclosure confidentiality agreements. Is that something that you find to have an impact, as either being qualified or not?
That you have signed NDAs or IP agreements? Is that what your question was?
Right. Just I've worked in a role that's required pretty extensive confidentiality and non-disclosure. I'm just curious if I were looking to transition into a company like BAE, if that's going to impact my ability to be qualified if I'm not able to legally disclose certain aspects of my background, if that's something that's just case by case.
Yeah, it's case by case. And Matthew, we run into that every day. Certainly if you've worked on a program, we can probably read between the lines and know what type of work you're doing. So during an interview, if you're talking about it, it doesn't have to be specific. It can be kind of generalized. If it's a technical role, if it's a business role, we're asking you about your tactics, not necessarily what the product was or who the customer was. And we're certainly not trying to gain any type of, competitive intelligence. So I think it's case by case, but we see it all the time. In our industry, it's very common. And it's very common for you to come to work for us and we have you sign 15 NDAs and intellectual property agreements, things like that. We have a ton of patents in our company. So every company really protects, their IP. But, in the realm of employment, certainly we respect that and we address that case by case. Good question. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, everybody, for the great questions. Chris, thank you very much for coming on in tonight, second day in a row. And again, folks, if you haven't had an opportunity yet and you want to get some one-on-one time with Chris, log into Handshake, sign up for those one-on-one sessions. Like I said, I think the last time I checked, there were probably about, I think half of them were taken. There's roughly 25 or so, I think, still available. So that's tomorrow and Friday. Again, Chris, thank you very much. Have a great night, and we will talk soon. And next up, folks.
Thank you, Jim. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night. Over and out.
Thank you. And next up, folks, we've got our friend and colleague here from Accenture Federal Services. So, Quincy, feel free to go on up and share your screen, sir.
All right. Thanks, Jim. Hey, guys. Quincy Harper. Hopefully you can see my screen. I apologize.
Yes,
all right, cool. I apologize up front. I have a hard stop at 6:15 Central. So I got about 30 minutes with you guys. So I'm going to run through my slides and feel free to ask questions, but I'm also going to give you my email address so that you can join our military community info session, which we host every Friday at 9 a.m. Central, and you can get a lot more of your questions answered there. So I'm based out of San Antonio, Texas, retired Air Force. I did logistics or supply for about 16 years, was retrained to the base chapel. Did that for about a year, was a first sergeant for about 6, and finished up in Colorado Springs as a functional MATCHCOM functional manager. Along my team, I have Katie Steinbeck, who's a Navy spouse. She's based out of our St. Louis office. And then I have Shauna Hamilton, who's an Air Force spouse as well. She's based out of Metro DC. All right, so Accenture as a whole, we are a foreign-based company. Our parent company, Accenture LLP, 700,000 employees worldwide, several different industries to include IT, cyber, business operations, and some national security work that we do as well. Now, on the federal side, which is to the right, 13,000 employees. About 20% of us are veterans or military spouses. We're in all 15 cabinet level departments, and the rest is just some kudos, right? So in short, what we do is we solve problems across the national security or defense and intel platform, right? To include some of your federal government agencies and your military agencies as well. I joke and say that we're probably in your house and you hadn't realized it. By thumbs up or show of hands, how many of you have used the post office website or app where there's a tab that you'll get a text what's going to be in your mail the next day? Yep. All right, Nicole, thank you for that. Lisa. All right, so that is managed and maintained by Accenture Federal Services. We also have a very robust account with the VA. So if we have some veterans on the call, like myself, a lot of the telehealth or telemedicine video teleconferences that we attend with our PCM, we manage and maintain that system as well. So that's just some of the work that we do that we can share outwardly. But like I said, there is some 3-letter agency work. I heard someone on the call earlier talk about, NDAs and work at the NSA and different agencies like that. We have candidates or potential interns that come and sit with us all the time with that type of experience and skill set. All right, this is just some of the locations that we share outwardly that we're located in on the federal side. Again, keep in mind you have Accenture LLP, which is a worldwide global company. And then you have Accenture Federal Services, which is primarily the federal government work that we do as a contractor through the federal government, solving some of the world's issues. But San Antonio, where I'm based, St. Louis, where my teammate Katie, and then the DC metro area. But we also have opportunities to align folks to projects that we're working on, in the West Coast, Arizona, and then all over the Eastern Seaboard, if you will. So about 36 different offices, and in the green is what's considered an ATC, Advanced Technology Center. So this is where the bulk of the work is done. This is where our teams come together and align. San Antonio, we got about roughly 2,000 employees here locally. And then in St. Louis, we have roughly about 600 or 700. And then the other remaining balance of 13,000 is kind of spread out across the US. All right, this is kind of what we do. We solve some of the most complex issues. Case in point, when COVID hit, we were the subject matter expert from an IT perspective to track, some of the COVID responses, whether it was positive or negative, to include vaccinations. So a lot of the interns or new joiners that came to work with us kind of pivoted in their role to go and work on that particular project for the federal government. Talk a little bit about the post office. Here's one that's near and dear to all of our hearts, the IRS. We manage and maintain their website as well, or application. And then again, like I said, some of the different military departments like the Navy with Recruiting Command, we manage Salesforce for them to include some other work that we do as well. But again, we provide advice and skills to help various agencies solve problems and improve their IT capability and performance. All right, me and my team, our sole responsibility and job is to find the military talent, bring back to the organization, and help you upskill and find a role with us. We do not guarantee any type of full-time hiring because we're going to put you through an apprenticeship, an internship, or we're going to go directly to full-time hiring. I'm going to use the example the young lady shared about 10 minutes ago. She was in Red Horse, and she is a admin troop. For someone like you, you asked the question, should you be going to look for more experienced roles or entry-level roles, entry point roles for a company like ours? And every company is going to be different. I would say pivoting out of the military without any downtown or civilian experience, you're looking to find an entry point role. Does that make sense, guys? Okay.
Yes, sir. And Quincy, I love that you call it the entry point versus entry level, right? You've identified Accenture Federal Services as an employer of choice.
Yes, 100%. Because again, whether the young lady is an 8-year E5 or E6 or a 25-year E8, right? You're still entering into an industry that you have zero experience in. You have a lot of great experience and knowledge coming out of the military. I am not discounting that. However, you have zero experience in the technology field, whether you have a computer science degree or not. You still have the bulk of your experience is still coming from the military. So there is a difference there, right? So I just kind of want to point that out. But that is a great question that you asked. I can't remember who asked it, but very good question. All right. So my job is cultivate community partnerships like I do with Jim. Jim and I have been kind of partnering up for the last 4 or 5 years. During the opportunity here, we provide job readiness. If you're in an internship, we're giving you work experience. I highly recommend, if you're transitioning out of the military or if you are already out and you're pivoting to a new career field, you need to find an apprenticeship to gain experience in that realm. But again, every company is different. My colleague or the gentleman who spoke before me, he has a very nice translator for your career in your MOS and AFSC. However, every company is different, right? So you have to know and understand that as you're pivoting or transitioning out. Internships. I'm going to foot stomp that. However, we do have full-time opportunities. Typically, for our full-time opportunities, you're going to need at least, at the bare minimum, 2 years work experience in that particular industry, right? Most importantly, in a civilian organization. So if you did 20 years, I'll use myself as an example. 25 years in the Air Force, bachelor's degree, got out. My very first job out was an HOA, Homeowners Association community manager. Why did they hire me? Because I understood people, resources, and facilities, right? I did that in the military for 25 years. So that was an easy transition for me. However, if I was trying to come and work for an organization like Accenture Federal, right out of the military with zero experience in IT or technology, there is no way they were going to hire me, right? So understand that coming out, figure out a plan, a career path, find a mentor. Find a mentor in the industry that you want to go into. So if you're looking to go into technology, find a mentor. If you're looking to go into basket weaving, find a mentor, right? Because 9 times out of 10, if you're coming from the military community and you're in college full time, or you decide to take 3 months off before you want to go work, I'm not saying that it's going to be tough. However, you're going to need a mentor, someone who's in a particular industry that can walk you through that. All right. And then lastly, transitioning military spouses and veterans. That is, typically the demographic that me and my team will serve. We look for full-time opportunities. We look for contract opportunities at a certain point. And what I mean by contract, about 3 years ago, we had a project that we were working on that we were looking to transition from one ATS or applicant tracking system to another. We needed to bring in a team of contractors to just help us with the database management piece. We brought in about 10 contractors, meaning they were only going to be with us for 6 months. We were going to pay them X amount, and they were not going to get any type of benefits, right? On the back end, we ended up keeping about 7 of them and converting them to full-time employees, right? So we have all sorts of different opportunities that we may reach out for, but always have that conversation. All right, we'll go to the next slide. All right, this is our primary focus. DoD Skill Bridge is probably where I get about 70 to 80% of my candidates that are going to come work for us. on to opportunity, Trailhead, Salesforce Trailhead Military. This is a free opportunity for the military community that you can take advantage of and learn to build websites and apps under the Salesforce Trailhead platform, right? And then vet tech. A lot of you are using vet tech to go to school, right? We partner with, different colleges, different workforce solution offices, et cetera, to bring in the military talent to either hire them full time, put them on a contract, or put them in an apprenticeship. All right, here's kind of what we look for and all of our candidates, not just tech candidates, right? Strong academic performance, involvement in leadership activities, a technical aptitude, whether you have, went to YouTube University and, you've done a lot of great things, Udemy, Coursera, if you went to Southern New Hampshire and gained your degree, those are the type of folks that we're going to look for. People who take initiative. You have to have an interest in public sector or government work, the ability to creatively think and solve problems analytically, and then lastly, excellent communication and interpersonal skills, right? So, all of the 70 or 80 recruiters that are on our team for the Accenture Federal side, this is kind of what we live by when we go out to market to find the talent. All right, again, internships, apprenticeships, that is my forte. This is why and who and what we kind of source for, right? It's an alternate on-ramp to find traditional, opposed to finding you from a traditional program. Entry point, right? Earn and learn model. You're going to be with us for at least 3 months. We're making you job ready. We're giving you some OJT. And then we're hopefully getting you on a path to full-time employment. And not just full-time employment, but a career path, right? Because if you're transitioning from the military or you're pivoting in your career, it's about establishing a career or what's next. And then you can kind of read, the one that's on the right. Reskill workers, I think, is the key. All of us on this call potentially are reskill workers because we're in college and we're looking for that next career path. So, all right. The interview. If you are to get an interview with us, because we are a federal government contractor, we are going to run a federal pre-screen to make sure that you can get at least a public trust. We do have roles that require you to have a TS-SCI with Poly, or just a TS-SCI, but that will be in the job description, right? We do not pay for any clearances. Why? Because we can go to market and find plenty of folks who already have it, right? However, if we hire you and you have a clearance and we put you on a role, we will carry your clearance. We will get it extended if the role that you're currently in requires you to have it. All right, so you're gonna have the initial meeting with a market-facing recruiter. He or she, they're gonna, ask you some pointed questions like, what do you want to do in your career? Why are you applying for this role? We noticed that you have X, Y, and Z in your resume. Talk to me a little bit about that, right? So it's just an opportunity for that initial recruiter to get to know you and align you appropriately based on your resume and a role that we may have open. Then there's the skilling interview. Typically, the skilling interview is going to be hosted by a middle manager, right? Someone who's been with the firm for at least 3 to 5 years. And they're going to have you whiteboard some stuff. And you will have to walk them through that particular scenario, whether it's technology related, IT related, business ops related, right? And then lastly, you're going to meet with at least a senior manager or above for what's called a closing interview to have a deeper discussion on who you are, how do you see yourself fitting in the team, et cetera. There'll be some behavioral type of questions. But all in all, this process will last probably about 30 to 45 days because, again, we're going to run federal pre-screen. We're going to run, there's 3 phases to our background check. There's the criminal, there's the educational, and there's the financial, right? So if you were stationed at Ramstein, right, and you put that, you've lived at Ramstein in the last X amount of years, then guess what? We're going to go back to the embassy to verify some of that information, right? So again, I try to tell people up front, expect a 30 to 45 day window if you're selected to move forward in a full-time position with us. All right. So again, in the beginning, I mentioned that every Friday at 9 a.m. Central, we host a military community informational session. The slide deck that I just showed you is just kind of the watered down version because I knew I was on a short window today. Here is our email address, right? Take a picture of it, shoot us an email, and there's 3 to 4 things we want to know. When you're looking to start working, what city you're in, what type of roles you're interested in, and are you open to relocate? What I try to tell people and coach people on is, take a look at our website. Look at the type of roles that we hire for: IT, cyber, business operations, program and project management. And then we have a national or defense and intel, which we hire to 3-letter agencies, right? So you will have to have a TS/SCI with Poly. Go on the website, look at the type of roles, filter it by the particular area that you're in, or the particular city or area that you're looking to move to. Send us an email, right? And saying, hey, I'm interested in X, Y, and Z, or this is where I want to take my career, right? This may be harsh, it may sound blunt, but don't send us an email or don't put your resume in LinkedIn and say, hey, here's my resume. Can you review it and tell me where you think I fit? That does not work, right? And I'm just being open and honest because I probably get 40 messages a day in my LinkedIn, plus emails, plus referrals, plus other projects, right? So I'm here for you. My team is here for you, but we want you to do your due diligence before you guys reach out. All right. Got about 10 minutes to answer some questions. Yeah. I'm gonna
Cheryl,
stop
right
sharing,
ahead.
Jim.
Yeah.
I see
Cheryl.
Sabat. Oh, Cheryl, go ahead. You may be on mute, Cheryl. Not sure.
Yes, hello. Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Yes, ma'am.
Just have a quick question. I'll be receiving my cybersecurity bachelor's degree in about 2 months, and I don't have military experience. From the conversation, I get the idea that you hire from both elements, whether
Yes,
it's
ma'am.
military or non-military. Is that true for cybersecurity positions?
That's correct. That's correct. And for cybersecurity, for our roles, be familiar with Splunk, SPLUNK, which is the platform that we use.
Yes.
And make sure you have the CompTIA or Security Plus.
Okay. Studying for that right now as we speak.
Perfect. Perfect.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thanks for the question. Sebastian, go right ahead.
Hello, it's wonderful to meet you.
Yeah, good to meet you.
For full-time college students, with or without clearance, and with or without service, I have a clearance and am service. What non-skill bridge internships do you offer? Would you say we can to look for?
So are you meaning, so you're already out of service, correct?
I am transitioning at the moment.
Oh, you are transitioning. Okay. All right. So that's a great question, Sebastian. And I'm going to pull that up right here. And I'm going to share the screen again.
Just because I'm not eligible for skill bridge, but I would like to try an apprentice.
Okay. All right. So can you see my screen, Sebastian?
I can see your screen.
Yep. All right, cool. All right. So these are our different alignments. Salesforce, Defense and Intel, if you have a TS/SCI with Poly, ServiceNow, PMO, Cloud Management Security, these are the different alignments or the 10 different ones that we run cohorts of training for.
Okay.
Yeah. And so the way that would work, I'm glad you asked that question. The way that would work is if you already have your DD-214 or you're a military spouse, we would bring you through Hiring Our Heroes, right? Hiring Our Heroes, they pay you, I think it's $16 an hour for 32 hours a week. And then we would select you and you would actually sit with us. So whatever city you're in, Sebastian, I would, go on the Hiring Our Heroes website and get a rep from one of those guys and say, hey, I'm interested in working with Accenture Federal. And you got our email address as well. Shoot us a note with those 3 to 4 questions that I kind of mentioned earlier.
Got it. And I have,
Yep.
have those questions written down.
Okay, perfect. Great question, though.
Thanks, Sebastian. Matthew, go right ahead.
Yeah, I was just curious if you guys have a company internal referral program and how far that might, bump the resume to the top of the list. How you guys work?
We do. We have a very, very robust. That's probably 30% of my day, the referral program, right? So, if you know someone who works for Accenture or Accenture Federal, what I would do is reach out to them and just say, hey, can we have a conversation? Where do you think I would fit in your organization? Here's my resume. And then they will in turn put the resume in our referral system. And if it's a military related individual, then they will kick it over to me and my team. And then we will, reach out and get you on the Friday info session. But that's a very good question. But that's how that process plays. And based on your experience and security clearance, that individual who's referring you may get a bonus or a stipend.
Great. Thank you, sir.
Yep. Great question, Matthew.
Naya, go right ahead.
Hello. So, I was going to say that I don't have any military or army experience, but my grandfather was in the army. But anyway, so I have a disability. I have spastic cerebral palsy.
Mm-hmm.
And if I don't have any experience of doing any line of work in this profession, before I even, look more into it or to get help with a resume or anything, do you all see me working there?
Yeah. We have we're fully compliant or ADA compliant, Naya. So if you have the skill sets and experience or education for an apprenticeship, right? Then yeah, you would let your recruiter know that you have you would like ADA assistance, right? And then she would connect you with that team if you're hired. And then whatever additional apparatuses, programs, chairs, computers, screens, whatever that looks like you would need, then the company would provide that.
Okay.
A great question.
Thank you for the question. I had another one that was emailed to me, just to clarify, Quincy, and you said it's hiring our heroes, correct? So do you work with Hire Heroes USA or just hiring our heroes?
Just hiring our heroes.
Okay, that's what I thought. Just want to,
Yep.
yeah, thank you.
Yep, no worries.
Folks, I think you may have time for one more question, so
Yep.
feel free to raise your hand. Oh, I think something just came in the chat. Hold on. I don't know if we have any other questions in the chat. Let me. Can you, yeah, I see one here. Quincy, can you repeat what they should include in the email inquiry?
Yeah, I'm going to put it in the chat. Location, when you want to start working, what are you interested in, and are you open to relocation? And if you are, I'm sorry, and if. Okay, cool. Let's see. And is it Azina? I think you had a question.
Okay. Sorry, my question is specifically for Mr. James.
Oh, yes.
So yeah. So I just started, like I said earlier, I just started my program here at SNAGU, and I still have like about maybe a couple of years before I get my degree. So I want to know, like, how often do y'all host this kind of program?
Yeah, so great question, and thank you, number one. Congratulations on starting here at SNHU. It's never an easy task to make that decision. So I really appreciate that and the effort that you're putting forth there. So So we have different programming all year long with different types of fields and different majors, but specifically for our military population, we do typically do this type of programming in the month of November and then again in the month of May. But we also have other resources. If you go into Handshake, you can go in and see some of the pre-recorded sessions that we have there. Also, check out the SNHU YouTube channel, because this session will be uploaded there as well, so you can see any of these sessions that have been previously recorded.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. And we might have time for one more quick one. We want to make sure Quincy, he's got a hard stop here at 7:15, so if anybody else has another one.
Jim, there was a question in the chat about
Dwayne.
remote. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I just answered it. As of right now, we are still in a hybrid type of environment, meaning folks are coming in the office at least once a week. So we're getting more and more back to our initial pre-COVID, which was you have to be 90 minutes or 90 miles from the nearest Accenture office, and be willing to travel.
All right. Well, thank you for that question. Quincy, thank you very much for coming out again tonight. You were here last night. You're here again tonight. I know we all have a lot going on. I very much appreciate you and the partnership that we've had here over the last, like you said, 4 or 5 years, whatever it's been now, and everybody else on the call. Thank you for coming on out tonight. And again, for those of you that tried to get in last night and were unable, my apologies. I hope we did justice for that tonight. And you all have yourselves a wonderful evening. And thank you all for your service. So thank you, everybody.